Hi, my name is John Anselmi, and I will be talking to you about Chapter 3, pages 85 through 86 for our lecture. So, pages 85 through 86 first talk about divisions of the nervous system. The two main divisions of the nervous system are the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord, processes and controls everything we experience. So the spinal cord is a cylindrical bundle of neurons and axons connected to the base of the brain. It acts as a messenger between the brain and the body. Sensory information must pass through the spinal cord, and then it is brought to the brain to see what happened. Damage to the upper part of the spinal cord breaks this link between the brain and the spinal cord. The brain isn't actually pink. It is a light gray organ tinged with pink because of the extensive network of blood vessels. When the spinal cord reaches the skull, it merges with a part of the brain called the brainstem. The brainstem is a stalk-like core of the brain that controls vital functions and transfers information between the cerebrum, cerebellum, and spinal cord. It controls breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, and the workings of the digestive system. The top part of the brainstem, deep within the cerebrum, is called the thalamus. The thalamus trades information back and forth with the cerebrum, and beneath the thalamus is called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is very important to basic functions, such as thirst, hunger, body temperature, and sexual drive. The cerebellum is perched on top of the brainstem and controls balance and coordinates movements of the body. It is constantly communicating with the brain, and if damaged, people have difficulty moving. The cerebrum is the largest and most complicated part of the brain, and is responsible for sensory information, decision-making, and language. So, there are four main lobes of the cerebral cortex, and they are the frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. The frontal lobes is the section of the cerebrum in front, just above and behind the eyes. The parietal lobes are the regions of the cortex behind the frontal lobes, and they are involved in touch, pain, and the sense of body position. The occipital lobes are also called the visual cortex, regions of this cortex at the back of the brain which receive information from the eyes. And the final main lobe is the temporal lobe. It is regions of cortex on the sides of the brain which receive information about smell, taste, sound, and they are critical for understanding language. So under the cerebral cortex are clusters of cells, and a few of them are the corpus callosum, the basal ganglia, and the limbic system. The corpus callosum consists of millions of axons sending action potentials and therefore conducting information between the left and right hemispheres. The basal ganglia is a collection of interconnecting nuclei that together help control movement of the body. Parkinson's disease is due to a loss of neurons in one part of the basal ganglia. The limbic system is under the cerebral cortex and contains the parts hippocampus and amygdala. The limbic system is involved in memory, emotions, and sensory processing. Then this slide talks about the left and right side of the brain. So all modern vertebrates inherited a brain and spinal cord from their ancestors. And they inherited that the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, and the right side controls the left. So, for example, a stroke is a loss of blood supply to a part of the brain that causes cells there to die. If someone suffers a stroke on the right side of the brain, she loses control of the left side of the body, or loses sensation from the left. The spinal cord does not command the opposite side of the body the way the brain does. Instead, the left side of the spinal cord communicates with the left side of the body, the right side with the right. But whenever information from the spinal cord travels to the brain, it crosses the body's midline, which is the imaginary line that runs between the left and right sides of the body and brain. The final slide talks about types of nervous systems. So besides the central nervous system, The peripheral nervous system makes up the other half of the nervous system. And the peripheral nervous system, also known as PNS, is the portion of the nervous system that includes all the nerves and neurons outside the brain and spinal cord. And the PNS can be divided into two parts, the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. And the somatic nervous system consists of millions of nerves that bring us sensory information that we are aware of, and the millions more nerves that we use to consciously control our muscles. And the autonomic nervous system is a part of the nervous system that is not under our conscious control, consisting of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So the sympathetic nervous system, which is part of the autonomic nervous system, pumps up psychological processes to prepare your body for action. So it will cause your heart to beat faster, your breathing to speed up, your blood pressure to rise, and the pupil of your eye to widen. In contrast, the other part of the autonomic nervous system is the parasympathetic nervous system, and it triggers psychological responses to put the body at rest, so the slowing of your heart rate will happen, and your breathing will be lowered, and the lower of your blood pressure, and the shrinking of the pupil in your eye.